Are you looking for ways to save money in the garden? We continue our series on gardening on a budget. You're in the garden with Patrick. Today we're going to talk about separating plants. So oftentimes when you go to the big box stores or your nursery, you're going to find different plants with two, sometimes even three different plants in the same pot. Now when we usually start from seeds, we'll usually plant 2 or 3 different seeds in a pot. The seeds will grow, and there's 2 basic trains of thought on what you can do with that. So you'll get something like this, for example. You'll get a pot with maybe 2 or 3 different plants. The seeds will sprout, or again, you're going to buy these at a nursery or something. And sometimes there'll be 2 plants in the pot. The one train of thought is that you want to snip the one that is the weaker plant and allow the better plant to grow and be more nourished in one pot. So you would take one away and you'd only have one per pot. So something like this, you could see maybe there's 3 or 4 different plants in here. So you might take some scissors and cut the stems of the weaker plants and keep the better and stronger plant. The other thought process is what I usually will do in the garden, and I'll try to save as many plants as I can. It just kills me to actually snip a plant and not keep it. So what I do usually is I'll separate. Something like this is going to be very easy, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. We're going to separate these 2 plants. These are jalapenos, and we're going to separate them into 2 different pots. And this is what we call potting up. So you can see the difference. We're making this smaller pot into a bigger pot. So we're going to pot up these, and we're going to separate these. Again, when you plant, or let's just say when we're planting seeds, you could plant them in a smaller container, or you could also plant them in a larger container. It just depends on what you have available to you. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to take these seeds, and again, don't be intimidated. It's actually very easy to do, and I'm going to show you step by step on how to do this very simply. And basically, it's going to be simple in the sense that you're going to take your plant, and you're going to make sure that it's watered pretty well so that the soil's a little moist before you do this, okay? And you're not going to, when you're doing this, you're not going to, you might delay the growth about a week or so because it kind of shocks the plant a little bit about not sure what's going to happen. If you plant these in advance, the seedlings, then you may have enough time before you put them in the ground. So we'll talk more on other videos about the temperatures that you want to put the plants outside. Your pepper plants, so these are jalapeno peppers, your peppers, tomatoes, those plants usually want to go into the ground when it's about 50 degrees outside, or the ground temperature is around 50 degrees. So it's still a little early. We're in late February right now. So I'm looking at our last frost date in 2022 is going to be March 18th. So these are not going into the ground anytime soon. So I have some time for them to grow a little bit bigger, and they'll get into a nice sized pot and a nice sized plant. But if you buy these at nursery or big box store, like Home Depot or Lowe's, you're going to maybe find a plant that's a little bit bigger. And like I said, you may, when you look, I want you to pay attention to each pull out the plants, and you're going to find every once in a while a couple of the plants or a couple of the pots that are going to have 2 plants in there. That's the one that you want to pick, okay? Now, how we do this is very simple. What we're going to do first is we're going to take the side, and we're going to kind of pinch the side that loosens the soil on the outside, and then you can also do that on the bottom here, okay? Now, I also have here a pot that has about 1/2 to 3/4 full of potting soil. So now if you remember, we're starting our seedlings with a seed starting mix. There's no nutrition in the seed starting mix, so the potting soil that you're going to have a lot of nutrients in there. So we have other videos that talk about the potting soil, so I'll link that at the descriptions on the bottom of this page, but we'll go over that later. But generally, the potting soil that you have here is going to be good enough for the nutrition for your pepper plants or any plants that you're separating. And again, you can fertilize every 14 days, 10 to 14 days. And you want to always, when you're going to fertilize, you want to make sure, especially when we're talking about these young plants, you're going to do that with about a quarter strength or maybe a half strength of the actual fertilizer. So again, we can talk about fertilizers in another video, whether you want to go strict organic. What I'm using right now is a fish emulsion, and we're taking that down to about a half to a quarter strength. So again, we'll link the videos in the description down below. So once I've done that and I have my potting soil kind of ready here, okay, I'm going to just pull out so I know what it is. You always want to make sure that you're labeling everything. I'm going to just set that here. So now when you pull out plants, you don't ever want to tug on them this way and pull from the stem. You want to make sure that you're not going to harm the plant in any way. So what I'm going to kind of do is kind of put my fingers through here. I'm kind of supporting the plants. I'm not pulling up. And all I'm going to just do is I'm going to kind of tip that over. And then from there, all I'm just doing is letting it kind of fall out into my hand. Now, let's take a look first look at the growth, if you can see that, of the roots. Okay, so you can see the roots are starting to grow pretty well on both of these plants. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two plants and I'm going to separate them. Okay, so I'm letting kind of the dirt fall a little bit, and it kind of falls out, and look how it just kind of comes out together. Now, if you gently are holding the stem, you can pull out. There it is. So there's the stem with the roots on it, and I'm going to place that right there in there for now, and then I'm going to take care of this other plant, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. So gently, I'm just letting the soil fall, and again, there you can see all of the nice roots. Okay, so these are great ways of doing it. Very simple, very easy. Now, there's other ways of doing it. I don't necessarily do these myself, but I've seen other gardeners' videos where you can take water and essentially wash all of this out, and then you're just left with the roots themselves without any soil. I try to preserve as much soil as I can, so you're not disturbing the roots as much. So again, look at that. That's pretty good. Okay. So now what you're going to do is I'm going to take that pot, and I'm just going to place, let's see if I can do it a little bit easier so you can see. And we're just going to take that, and I'm going to place that right in the center of my pot. And pepper plants, you want to make sure that you have the same soil level. Okay, so I'm going to put some soil in there first, kind of replace a little bit of that. I'm going to help the plant a little bit. So we just put it on each side at the same level as where we were at when we were in this smaller pot. I'm going to pack this down. Not really, really hard, but just enough. So I'm packing the soil down, and then I'm going to add maybe just a little bit more soil. And that's how simple it is. Okay, so now I've potted up one of my jalapeno plants from a 2 in 1 pot. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this one here. And this one I'm going to put a little bit more soil in there because it's kind of low. So there, I'm going to place it there. Okay, so there's what I'm doing. And then all you're just doing is filling that up with your potting soil. And I'm going to do another one where I'll have a close-up of this so you can actually see how I'm doing this. Okay? But again, that's really basically how simple that is. So now, from this one plant, and again, let's say I purchased this at Home Depot, and I got one with two. So now I have two plants from that one that I purchased. So that's how you can save money quite a bit. Again, when you're buying them, and if you have several plants that you are using seeds, again, you can do the same method. Now, this one here, if you can see, this one's a little bit more difficult because these are pretty close together. So we did the easy one, the simple one first, okay? So this one is going to be the same exact process, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the soil back in here, in this one. So there's two plants in here, in this one, and what we're going to do is we're going to take those two plants and we're going to make one. Okay? So I'm going to, also you want to make sure, because even though you may remember or you may think that you're going to remember exactly what that plant is, you won't. Okay? So make sure that you label. And I always put when I seeded this, so you can see I put these in seed 124, January 24th, and today is the 24th of February. So it's been about a month, and that's how, now pepper plants are going to grow a little slower than some of your other plants. So I'm going to stick that label right in there, and I'm going to stick that label right in there, so now we know that these are jalapeno plants, okay? Because they all look pretty much the same. So here we are. Now I'm going to take my two pots, and on this portion, same thing. I'm just loosening up the sides, and I'm going to loosen up the bottom a little bit, and then from there I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how we're going to do this close up. Okay, so we're going to take the jalapenos, kind of gently putting my fingers around it. Let's see if I can do it this way so you can see. Okay, this way. And then what I'm just going to do is dump out soil. Now you see this one, you can't see as many of the roots because these plants are smaller. So I'm just going to turn that over, and a lot of the dirt just kind of falls right out. Okay, and you just kind of let everything happen. Let whatever falls, falls. Okay, now I'm going to separate these two. And again, the dirt's still falling out. Now you can see some of those roots here. Okay, and what I'm going to do on this one is I'm just going to take these two, and I'm going to say, sorry guys, brothers and sisters, you're going to be separated. So all I'm just doing is gently pulling them, kind of teasing, and there you go. So now you got one with some roots, and this one you can see here has got quite a bit of roots. Now, I'm going to put that in here, and we're going to put the other one in here. Now, the key for this is going to be, will these live? I don't know. But you're giving them an opportunity to grow. So we're going to just, let me put it up a little bit so you can see this here. Okay, so what we're doing, you're giving them an opportunity to grow better in a bigger pot, in a bigger environment, and they should be healthier. Now, if you look at those very delicate roots, you may think there's no way that that is going to grow. We'll show some videos on the growth and how much of that root has grown since we started this, okay? So kind of a before and after. So I'm just putting in the dirt, the soil, and now we've potted up one jalapeno, and we're going to take the other one, the same thing. Just get a little bit of this out here so I can use that. And again, same thing. This has got some nice roots, so it should do well. But we'll see. I'm going to just place that gently in there, and then you're going to fill that up with your soil. And again, we're using potting soil. Doesn't have to be anything spectacular. We're doing a video on how to make your own potting soil and save money in that respect also. So we're just using different techniques on how we can save money in the garden. All right, so then we're packing that down just gently. And again, now we have our second. So out of 2 pots so far, I've already gotten 4 jalapeno plants. We're going to label that with our popsicle sticks that we've used. Reuse those, repurpose. And now, so I have in my garden right now, as far as our jalapenos from the plants that we've seeded, I had 5 of these small pots. So we're going to actually get around double that when we separate all of these plants. And I would say probably 90 to 95% of the ones that I transplant are going to live. They're going to be healthy plants and they're going to do well. So out of small plants, you can pot up, separate them into each one. They're going to grow bigger, and you're going to have a lot more plants that you can harvest your fruits from. So there you have it. We've taken 5 potted plants and doubled our size and made 10 individual plants from those 5. So that's a great way of saving money, doubling your plants, and of probably your harvest also. So I hope you enjoyed this video on garden saving tips, and we'll continue this series with several different ways of saving money in the garden. If you liked this video and you found something helpful or you learned something, please hit the like button. That really helps me a lot with getting other people to know and notice this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button, and you will be notified every time we put out a new video on right now our series about garden saving tips, saving money, but we're also going to be doing quite a bit of other different stuff on how to make soil, composting. We're going to do videos on mulching and all kinds of different stuff. And if you have anything that you want to hear or learn about, please drop me a comment in the comment below, and we'll try to put some of those videos out. Or if you have any questions, please ask them, and I'll be sure to personally answer those for you. And until next time, happy gardening, and you're in the garden with Patrick.